So your liver is actually located in the upper right quadrant, right up in the diaphragm and above your stomach. It's the biggest organ in your body. And what's kind of cool about the liver is it's the only visceral organ that can regenerate. So that's why you give liver donations, or they can remove a partial portion of your liver with cancer, and it still grows back. All you need is like about 25% of your liver to make it regenerate.
Wow.
To back to its original size, or maybe a little bit smaller. That's actually really cool. I had no idea about this.
I wonder how far scientists are with understanding the liver and how it regenerates and are able to produce organs that can do that in the lab.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm guessing that I doubt the liver has any stem cells. I'm pretty sure it has. I don't think it has stem cells. It for sure has. I'm trying to think of.
You're like, I'm going to tackle this question, but I really don't know how to say it.
I feel like the liver has its own. You say liver programmed stem cells where they can't turn into other cells besides liver cells. I'm sure that's probably how it works.
Yeah.
But no other organ can regenerate. Like kidneys, you could live off one kidney, but if you have a laceration of every kidney, that portion is not going to grow back. Liver's pretty cool.
I'm just thinking about it. Wow. It's definitely an awesome organ. One thing that the liver does, it creates bile. And what bile does, it breaks down fats, cholesterol, and some vitamins. And despite all the information that cholesterol is bad, it's actually like very important for us because it is in charge of our hormones, our sex hormones, our like steroidal hormones. It regulates the immune system. So, we as a society, we're always like, oh my God, like fat free, let me lose some weight. Like your body needs this, and it's very important because bile is a huge. We neglect it. Like we don't say like, oh wow, like this cell's important, or wow, this organ does a lot for me. But bile does quite a bit. Yeah,
it has actually two main functions for the most part. It helps with digestion, absorption. That's one of them. But the other thing is that it helps get rid of bilirubin. Bilirubin is a toxin that's produced as like a byproduct of protein synthesis. So when your body makes proteins, it releases bilirubin.
Yeah. And
too much of that, can make you acidic, can cause damage to your body in general. So not bilirubin, but bile helps to get that bilirubin out of your body.
And that's that jaundice look for babies even when they start off, and those cirrhosis patients when bilirubin is elevated and they have that jaundice yellow look.
Yeah, exactly. Like Matt said, it helps with fat, carb, protein breakdown and creation, but also stores vitamins and minerals. All your fat soluble vitamins, they're stored in the liver. That's your vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, and B12. And supposedly it keeps so much of these vitamins in there, or if you were to get depleted severely, it keeps about a year's worth. Is what?
No way. A whole year?
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yet we're vitamin deficient.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of times that we're deficient of usually the vitamins, like the ones that we can't really get through diet as much. So a lot of times vitamin D we're deficient in. That's from sunlight. It's produced by sunlight, but it's synthesized in the liver.
Mm-hmm.
But you could go months without food and you can still be decently healthy if you think about it. It's partially due to the liver storing all those.
And some people
vitamins.
eat the same diet the whole entire time, so they're deficient in those things. Yeah. Another one, what happens is the liver actually stores glucose. It maintains glycogen levels, and they get released whenever your body needs them. And according to this study here, not even study, this article, it stores about 1.6 kilos, which is 100 to 120 grams of glycogen. And one of those things that people don't realize is when it comes to even diet, like if you constantly keep eating carbs and your glycogen storage is full in the liver, it's just going to spill over to fat. So that's why like carb cycling is a good thing. Sorry to get off topic here, but when you're carb cycling, you're depleting your glycogen storages, and then if you carb up, you're just refeeding yourself, but you're not like over storing the carbs to glucose. You just get fat.
Yeah. I know I touched on about bilirubin. I actually got that flip with urea. So bilirubin isn't produced after protein synthesis. Urea actually is.
Urea. Okay.
Bilirubin is basically your end result from old red blood cells. So when old red blood cells get broken down or get damaged, bilirubin builds up due to all the substances that come out of them.
Okay.
Urea is the one that was the one that is a protein. Is a byproduct of protein synthesis.
Protein and also ammonia, which gets converted. Great catch there. Liver also regulates blood clotting factors. As we know, when people have like the end-stage liver disease, they have that stomach that's full that we tap because they don't have enough clotting factors. And sometimes we give them, platelets and things like that. And the liver, believe it or not, plays a huge immune function role. We have those Kupffer cells that are literally giant macrophages, so they're part of like the immune system. And what happens is when the liver is constantly filtering blood, like these macrophages are like catching on to anything that's bad, from small particles to removing protein to just filtering out like bad cells. I'm not going to get into how it does that, but it's awesome. It's in the show notes if you guys want to get a read more in depth, because we're not going to bore you with giant medical words here.
Yeah.
And also what it does, it has like this surveillance mechanism too, where on top of filtering, it also looks at all those gut toxins that get released, and it filters that out as well.
Yeah, so Kupffer cells are really important, when they're stored in the liver and they're made there. So liver has a giant detoxification effect. So even though they, find toxins, destroy them, filter them through, what they also do is they filter unused hormones or hormones that have already been used up. So your extra testosterone that you already use that you don't need, extra neurotransmitters that have already been used that you don't need, those all get taken out by the liver as well, which people kind of fail to notice. Like we say, okay, yeah, our testosterone is this, but what happens when you have extra testosterone? Where does that go? It obviously gets turned off and goes somewhere, and that goes to the liver.
Even like neurotransmitters, you don't think about that the brain is like dumping out old things, and like the liver is literally a giant recycling plant.
Yeah.
And even like a lot of us, I don't know if you guys follow us that religiously, but we intermittent fast. And in fact, fasting is another beneficial thing that helps with detoxification, because we enter a phase called autophagy, where your body's able to not focus on digestion and focuses on cleaning up cellular debris. And it's like housekeeping. It's like just cleaning up house, because no one's coming in and out. It has that digestive break. And that's why having these little periods of stop eating is beneficial for us.
Right, yeah, because when we eat, the antibiotics that they put in our food, all those pesticides, all those preservatives, they get filtered out through the liver. So now with you fasting, you don't have any kind of food or any kind of other toxins to filter through. So your body is literally filtering its own blood. So it's able to clean up your blood, you could say, more accurately, just because it doesn't have any extra stuff to clean. I'm saying that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And the way the liver does this, back to the detoxification part, there's two phases that we're going to cover. Phase 1 is basically taking this fat soluble substance, meaning everything that we just talked about, the debris, the hormones, whatever, and the liver has to use a mechanism in phase 1 to make it water soluble.
It's actually phase 2.
Phase 2?
Yeah. So phase 1 is basically this toxic recognition. And so it uses oxidation and hydrolysis. So it oxidizes things and also uses water to weaken the toxic. So phase 1 is usually recognition and kind of breaking down the toxin into, you could say, smaller toxins.
Okay.
But also phase 1 also uses urea, just because it also builds
chemical reactions.
Yeah, so all the stuff, the chemical reactions, the leftovers from the chemical reactions that are dangerous to you for a long time, they get put to the liver as well. And this is where the medication is usually metabolized, you could say. So like codeine, lidocaine, metoprolol, caffeine, alcohol, acetaminophen, they'll get broken down in this level 1.
Okay.
Or this phase 1, you could say. So this is basically more like recognition and just breaking down this toxic. But the thing with this level, why it's so important to have a healthy liver, is because when you break down toxins, it also exposes you to more toxins, because the pathway of this toxic breakdown leads to a release of toxic through the toxic breakdown. So that's why phase 2 is really important as well, because it takes those toxins plus other toxins and makes them water soluble so they could be excreted. Yeah. So phase 2 is where it actually takes the toxins itself and makes them water soluble, so you could basically go to kidneys and then pee them out, or go to, through the bile duct and come out through your intestines and your colon through stool.
Yeah, and those that don't understand that, let's look at oatmeal, for example. The reason why oatmeal is so healthy for us and why it's good for the gut is because it has insoluble fiber, meaning it doesn't mix. It's not broken down, and it's not absorbed in the bloodstream. So this fiber from oatmeal is literally hanging around in the gut, and it's just like attaching to crap that's not necessarily there, and we just poop it out. So that's why we say, hey, eat fiber to have a good poop. And what the liver does is it's able to digest it, where the fiber, whatever, is able to attach in the intestines, and you could actually get rid of it.
Right, exactly. And then also in this phase 1, we hear a lot of times about free radicals that cause cancer. Part of oxidation is to cause these metabolic pathways to break down certain things, but then they end up releasing and oxidizing and releasing free radicals. And certain toxins release more free radicals, and the goal is to have a healthy phase 2 so you can get rid of those free radicals as well. So that's why liver health is very important, because when you break down certain things and cause free radicals, that gives you an increased chance of cancer.
Yeah, and those that don't know what a free radical is, basically all these chemical processes is happening in our body, and what happens is a free radical gets produced from what Peter is saying in phase 1, and it's basically missing an electron. And the electron needs another electron to be satisfied in a way. And it'll kind of bounce around, and it could damage and hurt other cells, which could disrupt their function. And eventually, if you have a buildup of so many free radicals, you're like disrupting a specific message, a specific task that your body's doing, and you're able to hurt yourself in a way. Just like cancer, just a buildup of free radicals, and it's manipulating and changing DNA, and you're producing bad. And yeah,
that's true. It's true. So phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 is we have it on the show notes. It looks kind of complicated, but for the most part, phase 2 is just turning your toxins into water soluble, so you can pee them out basically. There's like different pathways that they could go through. There's like a glutathione pathway, a sulfate pathway, a glycine pathway, and glucocurionide conjugation. So basically, this is your liver's way of recognizing what kind of toxin it is and how to break it down to make it water soluble. That's all basically those pathways are doing, because amino acids have a different DNA makeup, so do lipids, so does everything else, and this kind of tells your body on how to break it down if it's one of these 4 things.
Okay. Yeah. So we covered phase 1 pretty well. It basically creates oxidation, and there's different chemical reactions that are happening. There's enzymes and liver cells that are very important for this. Specifically, it's called hepatocytes, and they release these chemical reactions, and they have different protective measures for protecting your body and liver from these toxic chemicals. And we talked about free radicals. Also, how to combat that is having antioxidants, of course. I feel like we don't focus on, or there's a doctor that said antioxidants aren't important for aging, that one guy.
Yeah.
But in this case, they are important because we need vitamin C and E to reduce the damage that these free radicals are causing, and they neutralize them in a way. I'm not too sure about the process, but it's basically satisfies that free radical so it could be normal again and not missing that electron to attack other cells.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, for liver filtration detox, it's a simple way to recognize this is just your fat soluble toxin goes in, you get your phase 1, which weakens the toxin, then it goes to phase 2, which makes the toxin water soluble, and it gets secreted as bile, or it goes to the kidneys and gets treated as urine. That's basically a simple gist of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's certain mechanisms that, like we said, help remove unused hormones or hormones that were used, but for the most part, your body just, liver just makes it toxic less toxic, makes water soluble, and then treats it. That's a simple gist of it.
We sound like a bunch of repetitive parrots almost at one point. But this is one of those topics that if you guys really grasp it, you're able to really understand the body and everything else.
Yeah, it's hard to say because there's so much medical jargon in this, and with different receptors, different toxins go down a different pathway, but it still has the same function. It's just different in multiple ways that your body can break down certain things that leads to the same result.
And now when you're on a date now, you could be like, hey, do you know what a Kupffer cell is? Well, believe it or not, man, it's one of the most important liver cells.